on mute.
I
Everyone's
said, take a seat, Ben. Take a seat. The basketball has finished. Even the ref tried. Even the ref tried his best for a winner tonight.
What a game that was.
100 minutes of pure entertainment. This is what, even though we were all on Semenyo watch, we were on United hate watch, but it was a proper entertaining game, a proper advert for the Premier League. Some shit keeping in that game, I thought, but some proper quality as well, some proper goals. I thought Fernandez, I was having that chat with Vicky and Hood. They go, look, that's just simply too good. But for me, look, it was a great strike, pace, power, curl, whatever. But if the keeper is going to go and take if he goes over the wall, you say too good. But for me, taking a step towards the right is criminal. And then you're never going to get it. You're never going to get it. But maybe I'm just being overcritical on that one. But yeah, I think one of the Casemiro header was really, really bad. But you know what? We're here to talk about Liverpool are making moves. And we believe, whether you want to believe us, it's up to you, that Liverpool have started to shortlist. I don't personally think Liverpool are in negotiations with any club in regards to some players, but they are getting their cards on the table and thinking about things. And let's see what happens over the next 2-3 weeks. And we saw a player that Liverpool have been linked with, a club that we enjoy a really, really good relationship with. And Richard Hughes maybe was on Semenyo watch as well tonight. But yeah, it's a welcome from BNR. We've just recovered after the 2.5-hour show, whatever it was. It seemed like a 10-hour show, but you know what? It could have been a 20-hour show because we were doing player ratings. When you do player ratings, anything is possible. But welcome, take a seat. There's nearly 200 of you here already. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and please, I know it rolls off our tongues, but I must stress how important it is for the channel. You might be a subscriber and you're part of the community, but if you're new, it's even more important where you smash the like and you subscribe to the channel. And honestly, it gets us out there to newer audiences. And you guys know, I don't need to tell you how big YouTube is. And yes, the race to 20,000 subscribers. We hoped to get there before the. Sorry. Oh, thank you very much. We'll look at the table.
Save that for later. Sorry,
I haven't had a look at it for the last 2-3 months, but it's maybe time to start looking at the table because it's January and because they say you should look at the table and assess it after the new year. So maybe it's time to look at it how it looks before the new year. But yeah, it's a race to 20,000 subscribers, and we'll talk about Jacquet, we'll talk about Semenyo, and we'll talk about a few other players where Liverpool will need to improve and where we want them to improve. And there'll be a lot of consensus in the building, I'm sure. Gene, Ben, what's going on, boys?
After you, Gene.
I was going to say, yeah, it was a bit of a basketball game. I enjoyed the game, to be fair. Obviously, I think everybody was on Semenyo watch tonight. Especially with it being United, we wanted him to do well. We wanted Bournemouth to beat United, but what a game of football, man! You know what? I was buzzing when Bournemouth was scoring. Obviously, then you get peed off when United come back. But 4-4, and then them two big chances at the end when Brooks missed. And to Semenyo, he could have had an assist towards the end as well. He was unlucky for that as well. But yeah, 4-4, we move. End of the day, we'll be speaking about Semenyo and Liverpool. I'll let you go to Ben first.
Ben, yeah, what did you make of it? I'm not going to lie. I watched the full half, the first half. Then I saw Bournemouth equalize at 2-2, and then I missed about 10-12 minutes. I came back down, it was 3-2 to Bournemouth, and then it was mad after that as well. But did you watch the full game, and were you on Semenyo watch?
Yeah, I was similar to you, mate. I watched the first 20, and then I had to dive out just to do a pickup for one of the fam, and then came back just as the second half kicked off. So I got the action-packed second half, and I heard the first goal go in for the goal. Sorry, was it the two straight after the kickoff on the second half?
Yeah.
I heard that one go in on the radio, and I thought, oh, this could be a tasty game, this now. And then when Tavernier scored that free kick, I was like, it's right, game on here. And then United go and do the same thing and get 2 in quick succession. But it was a belter of a game, and as I say, I think it really is synonymous to the league this season. There isn't many, there isn't easy games. There isn't games that have been put to bed. Bournemouth are a perfect example of a team that just do not lay down at all. They're wide open at the back, but they've got legs and energy in midfield and up front to burn, and they just keep on going and keep on going. And yeah, Semenyo, I did watch him very carefully. I was saying to Jean just backstage there, I thought he's a funny player. He ducks in and out of games. He's not like constantly involved in a game. But one thing I was really impressed with is that he is a real focal point on the break, and his ability in the air is superb. He won nearly every single header up against United's defense, flicking the ball on and stuff. And he is a handful. He is a massive handful. I don't know, if I'm being honest, whether his ceiling is elite level. I have no idea at all whether he's got that in him. He may well have it in his locker to go to a real extremely high level. I think a lot of people probably thought that about Sadio Mane when we were plucking him from Southampton, thinking, "Oh, really? Is this the guy who's going to take us to a Champions League final or something?" And then the rest is history with Sadio. So you just don't know, do you? I think though, even if he doesn't reach a ridiculously high level, he's definitely something that we haven't got in our locker at the moment. His attributes, his pace, his power, his ability to just occupy defenders. We don't really have that, to be honest, at the moment. So, as I say, I think he would be a really smart signing for the attack. And as Jean said as well before, he looks equally comfortable on the left or right, which again is really nice versatility. Come in and do a job on the left if to complement Gakpo or challenge Gakpo. But then equally, if Salah is either not playing well or dare I say not here, then he's an option on the right as well. So yeah, I'm really positive about him. I think he'd be a really good signing. As I say, we'll have to wait and see.
Gene, I want to concentrate on what Ben said. He said, I'm not sure about what his ceiling is. And that's probably the reason why not myself, but a lot of people look. Barcola is probably number one choice for every fan, but I think the difference between Barcola and Semenyo is one is available, one's got a release clause, and the other one is seen as still as a future of France football. Maybe he's not as Doué, but he's still young and he's still got all the talent, and it's going to take a lot of money and convincing the club and the player for us to see Barcola in a red shirt. Then where do you look? And £65 million for a player. Well, my question to you is, how high is that ceiling for Semenyo? Is he just, when you see him, do you see just a counter-attacking threat? Because look at the difference. I'm going to make the link to Isak. Yes, caveat everything that he's got injury problems, even though you don't want to hear that anymore. But we're not playing Isak's game. And when you see him in Newcastle, physicality around him, speed around him, all those sort of things, it was built for Isak. And a lot of the times when we saw Newcastle, it was all about pace, power, and transition threat, which in an environment Isak excelled in. Can you see some similarities where you see Semenyo, you think, okay, he's going to give us transition threat, but what about has he got the sort of cuteness, if you like, in settled play?
100%. I think this is the reason why there is always a little bit of doubt when it concerns Semenyo. Number one, it looks like he's a bit of a transition player, even though Areola does like to play football on the ground. I love the way Areola plays the game. I think people can sit here and I love attacking managers, and that's what I see with Areola. He wants to go play. He's got technical ability. Most of his players do. But back to Semenyo, Asim, he's a weird one because I agree with Ben. It is a bit like a Sadio Mane signing. You're signing a player with potential. You're signing a player who's at that club. Can he do it? Can he not do it? Again, when we signed Sadio, did we exactly know that this guy is going to get to the level that he got to? Probably not. He's got all the similarities. He's got the pace, the power. He's got both feet, can play on both flanks. It makes sense when he's 65 million to Liverpool to go, because what you have to understand is Barcola, you're talking 100 million quid. Yeah,
yeah,
it's 80, 90, 100 million pound high wages, but a player who's played for a team that's been playing, that are on the front foot, who plays against low blocks, all that type of stuff, and he's played at the highest level Champions League games. So you're probably more inclined to go with Barcola. But if we haven't got, and we're not willing to spend 100 million on Barcola because we've got other areas to fix, it makes sense that you go for a Semenyo type of player. In terms of his ceiling, Asim, do I see Semenyo being world class? Probably not, if I'm honest. But do I see Semenyo coming to Liverpool and taking, making that position? Was Diaz world class? No, he wasn't. But he was so efficient for our football club.
yeah.
That's what you have to try and understand. You don't need world-class players in every position. Some players you need world-class players, and you need other players who fit the system, who understand the system, and who are going to make it easier for your world-class players to perform at that world-class level. He might be that type of player. I can see him being that type of player more than whereas a Barcola, the potential is world-class. He could be an unbelievable world-class winger for Liverpool Football Club. So it's just about getting an understanding as to what his role is going to be as well, Asim, because as much as we want him to he has to be that, a player has to be good enough to let Wirtz thrive. And if that means you have to run him behind, you're going to have to do a lot of running, you take up the ball 20 yards. If that's going to help Wirtz, then yes. Or you can sign a silky winger who's got all the silkiness. But if that's not going to work for Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak, then you've got a problem. So I just want to make sure that whoever look, gone 65 million quid.
Is it if we splash 65 million pounds on Semenyo? Is it justified?
Yes.
Why?
It's justified because if you're talking Barcolas, you're talking 90 million quid.
But you said he's got. You said he's got a world-class ceiling.
He has got a world-class ceiling, but still, Asim, he's got a world-class ceiling, but there's still an element of risk because he's coming from the Liga. He's been, he hasn't played in the Premier League. Whereas Semenyo, 65 million quid, that threshold in terms of monetary value is fine. Where we can pay that, no problem. Being in the Premier League, done it. We lack physicality. We need him. We lack pace right now. He's going to give us that. And he's had a decent start. I know he hasn't scored for a few months, but I think it was about 6 weeks. He hasn't scored a goal. But he gives us that versatility as well. Can play on both flanks. I think today he played in all three positions. So things like this, you have to understand. This guy.
How many times are you going to ask? Look, he's asked again. If you ask the question once more, look, I don't like blocking people, man. But come on, don't spam the chat. Oh, for fuck's sake, that's it. He's out. I'm sorry.
You get it. Yeah. Anyway, so you have to understand if that deal makes sense. What did I make of him today? I said, look, from the right hand side, he scored a fantastic goal coming in, decent effort into the bottom corner. Yes, the defense should have done a bit more in terms of I think that Heaven guy should have got out a bit earlier. But end of the day, he got out there and got a goal. He should have had an assist twice. His cross came in. Brook header just missed. Was it Brook or somebody else? And then the last one.
Which one?
There's another one. I think he nearly had a chance just towards the end when Brook when the keeper saved it. That could have been an assist for him as well. So he could have walked out of today, with a goal and 2 assists. So you can't really argue with that from today's performance. But obviously, look, Ben, we saw that against Liverpool last time. That out ball, against Kirkes, he won the ball against Kirkes practically every time against him.
Would you, if you had 90 million? Sorry, Ben. Just before you.
No, it's all right. It's all right. It's probably going to be similar to what I'm going to say myself. Go on.
No, it's a question back to Gene. If you had 90 million right now, you're Richard Hughes, even though you look more like a Julian Ward, rather than Richard Hughes. If you had 90 million in your pocket right now, who would you go for? Would you go for 65 million pounds Semenyo? Bear in mind, if you have 90 million quid, you could probably get Gay for that 90 million pounds as well.
This is what you have to understand. If you said to me, Gina, you're only getting Barcola in January, right? and Gay's not guaranteed in the summer,
That's
then
a
it's a
better
problem.
question. That's a better question. Semenyo in January or Barcola and Gehi? No.
What are you on about? Fucking
Barcola
obviously.
in January or Semenyo and Gehi in the summer?
In the summer, yeah.
Bear in mind where we are in the league, what we need.
Centre back, Asim. So are we signing no centre back in Jan? In next year?
It's a hypothetical question.
If you said to me Barcola now,
that's a shitty scenario, that Asim.
because okay, but I don't care if you don't get Gay. If you said to me Barcola and another centre back,
okay,
in Jan, because we have to sign a centre back.
No one's saying we've got Jackie on the thumbnail, so go with him if you want.
So if you said to me Barcola and Jackie over Gay and Semenyo, yes, I'd take it.
I'm going to be slightly controversial.
I'd go Barcola because I want world-class talent.
Go on,
yeah,
then.
I'm going to be slightly controversial and say I wouldn't take Barcola. And the reason why I wouldn't take him is because I think we're seeing a Barcola signing in Florian Wirtz at the moment, in that he's world-class potential, got the unbelievable ceiling, but we're having to live the reality of him adjusting to the Premier League. And we've got no idea whether Bradley Barcola might have exactly the same scenario where it's 6 or even 12 months to adjust to the Premier League. Could come in and smash it, obviously, but it's another player who doesn't know the league. And I think the thing with Semenyo is that even though he may not have anywhere near as much potential, you're living it and seeing that he can operate in this league and he can do a job for you. And 65 million sounds like a lot, but in this market with these sort of players out there, it's probably not. And because he's versatile, he's almost like potentially another Gakpo type signing where he can just be very, very effective, useful player to have in your squad. But ultimately, he doesn't mean that you can't go and get somebody else again in another 12, 18 months. If you go for your Barcola now, then you're basically locking down a position, fair play, but you're committing to that project for 12, 18 months, and it might take that long to come to fruition. And I don't think we're in a position where we can afford to wait 12, 18 months for a foot. We need one who's going to be good right from the off.
Gene, what if I look at it in the perspective of this 4-4-2 diamond? I think Semenyo suits this formation more than Barcola. Barcola don't get in for me. I know he's got, he can play the connecting role, but even today, Semenyo picks up second striker. But when you play practically at times across the front three, he's probably a lot more versatile. But even in this, where we might be even reading it wrong, what if Liverpool long term are going, okay, we're going to buy a few more midfielders to provide depth. We might have to add in the fullback area just to make sure we've got enough there as well. Whether it's attacking, obviously in theory you need more attacking players, but we've always cried out for that third centre back slash left back role as well. But in terms of versatility, I think Semenyo ticks more boxes than Barcola.
He does. 100% he does. And you saw that today. And, we mentioned the aerial threat. I mean, if you're playing in the central areas, you're going to need some sort of aerial threat, whereas Barcola doesn't offer you anything of the sort. He's even in terms of physicality, Semenyo's on a different level compared to Barcola. So if it was this system, then of course, come 100%, Semenyo ticks the boxes a lot more than a Bradley Barcola or a Kenan Yildiz or any other player that we're sort of linked to. But do I think we're going to carry on with this? I can't see it. I can't see Liverpool continuing with this formation. I know, you look at the fullbacks, you think, you know what, this can work. Yeah, in terms of having we've got the flying fullbacks. If we bring in a destroyer type of or a ball playing midfielder who will hopefully unlock somebody like a Florian Wirtz, but I'm not 100% sure that Liverpool will continue with this system. No, question to you two: do you think Liverpool will all right? Do you see Liverpool playing this forget this season, next season? Can you see Liverpool playing with this formation that you've seen over the last couple of weeks?
I don't think so, no. I think this is a means to an end at the moment because I don't think it's Slot's natural shape. He wants, fast, pacey, wide forwards, to be honest, and we haven't got any of them at the moment, so I think he's having to adapt. But then if you look at the shape that Carragher put out when they were doing the analysis tonight on Monday Night Football, you've got you've got your fullbacks on the halfway line. And that to me now is all of a sudden he's thinking, right, okay, we've got no width in the team for the next 6 weeks because we've got no Gakpo and we've got no Salah. So therefore it's set up for a Frimpong Bradley on the right and a Kirkes Robertson on the left, isn't it? And that's where all of the width is going to come from. But I don't think that's the long-term plan. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. I don't know. But you know, and it would suggest that it is if you have bought Kirkes and Frimpong, but he didn't start the season like that. So maybe he started the season knowing that it was going to evolve into this. I don't know, but I feel like gut feeling is that he's doing this out of necessity rather than by choice.
I think the form of Hugo Ekitike has given Liverpool and Slot a big headache. We were talking about how surprised the fan base have been.
And the form of Isak. And the form of Isak. Way.
But in terms of Isak needs to play, because we were talking about the irony is between Wirtz and Isak is they're both coming for a huge fees. Isak has got the saving grace of the Premier League, but he has not performed maybe bar 30 seconds when he puts those 2 goals away. One against, who was it? Southampton, and the other one.
Palace and the Cup, yeah. Oh, Southampton. Sorry, Southampton.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But Wirtz has shown bits, but he doesn't have the saving grace of he's proved it in the Premier League. So, and we were saying, look, how surprised we've been in terms of how good Ekitike is. I personally think Liverpool have been surprised as well in how good Ekitike is. I know the nerds do all their research and all that sort of stuff, but I don't think they thought that this guy is at this level or at this stage of his development. And I think you can only put it down to his mentality and his hunger and desire of wanting to prove himself as the number one. And you have to give him all the credit. But if you're going to go without, at the moment, Liverpool don't have wingers. Mohamed Salah has lost his legs for the last 2-3 years, but because he had so much creativity in him and his ability to create separation and then get his other mates involved, that skill will never, ever leave him. But when he's not scoring 20 goals a season, then can you give him the license? And when especially you've got Isak who doesn't press, and we've talked about Wirtz as well. Gakpo on the other end, he's an output merchant as well, if I can use that term. And he doesn't defend like someone like Mane or Diaz or even someone like Semenyo. Semenyo covered the ground at a big pitch at Old Trafford tonight, on and off the ball. He eats up ground. And that is what Liverpool have been missing in many parts. So that is the problem. But I want to ask you two, if you're going to talk about Liverpool's attack, whether it's a 4-4-2, whether it's a 4-3-3, let's stick with the 4-3-3. In 2 years' time, what do you see that as that attack then? Because we're going to have to replace Mohamed Salah. We all want an upgrade on Gakpo. And let's say we're not gonna invest more down the middle if we've got 2 strikers in Isak and Ekitike. So we need to buy 2, I'd say, in the next 2 windows. Is that fair? So
yeah, definitely.
I think if you're gonna go Semenyo, then you have to go for £100 million signing on the right hand side. Because
100%.
All
the left.
Yeah. I believe you're not buying pure output in Semenyo. I don't think, with all due respect, I don't want to put a number in it and get clipped when he scores 20 goals in 3 seasons. But I don't see a guy who can get 20 goals a season in Semenyo. I just don't. And that's not a bad thing. But you have to balance it out. It's just like we've done over the last 10 years with Mane and Salah and Bobby. Bobby went sometimes 20 games without scoring, but no one talked about it because of what he provided the team.
Yeah.
But you still have to have that guy who sort of balances everything out. And we had Mohamed Salah for many, many years. So I think then who do you buy? Do you go for someone like Elise on the right-hand side? I think you have to.
That's my first choice. And my gut feeling, again, this might be very controversial, but you've got to think 2 years is a long, long time. My gut feeling is, from a club perspective, they will look at it. I think the front 3 in 2 years' time will be 2 new wingers, whoever that might be. One, as you say, more of an output merchant, and one more of a numbers man. Sorry, not a numbers man. That would be the output merchant, somebody who obviously offers something from a off the ball perspective. And I think Ekitike will leave in a similar fashion to what. Yeah, I think it'll be a similar scenario to Alvarez in that
he barely played the game.
No, I know.
When do you think he'll leave? When do you think he'll leave?
I think if he gets in the squad for the World Cup, but he's not quite starting, like I was listening to them, Giroud saying before about, Ekitike's flying now, and I think he will make the squad. But the front three is still going to be Dembele, Mbappe, and probably Doué. So he's not going to break into that team. And I think if Isak does get anywhere near the level that we hope and expect him to do, and Liverpool will have to do that because they've invested such an inordinate amount of money on him, they won't get the money back on Isak because of his age and because of his profile and because of his injury record. He just won't get that money back. So he will be the banker that they'll put their time and energy into, whereas I think they think that they could probably get the money back and some, maybe in 2 years, for Ekitike if he continues on the trajectory that he's on now. And it might be like an Alvarez sort of scenario at City, where he goes to whoever for north of 100 million, and then we reinvest that again in another area in the team. Because, as I say, I think he will outlive the position to the point where he will be too good to just be a bit part player with Isak, and we'll have to bring in another striker that is happy to play second fiddle to Isak, in the same way as someone did that, like a Callum Wilson at Newcastle.
Wow, Gene, it's a big call. You're on mute.
Sorry, I says, look, what you have to understand is it's difficult for me to say I want, in 2 years' time, Ekitike will leave, because how do you leave a player like him out?
Yeah,
you simply can't, Ben. I get, Liverpool have put 130 million down for Alexander Isak, but it's not like we give 20 million for Hugo Ekitike. We spent 80 million on him. We spent 18 million pounds on him. So it's a shootout. Go and produce. If we're gonna, whoever's good enough, go and do what you need to do. Go and.
I think the point is one of them will stand and one of them will
have
fall.
to leave us. It just doesn't make any. How can both of them work? If I'll give you an example now, if Hugo Ekitike now plays for Liverpool this season, carries on the form, might miss a game, carries on scoring here and there, how do you leave him out? You leave him out for 2 games in a row for Alexander Isak, and it's gonna go mental. But we're gonna be going nuts at slot. Oh, you can't leave a player that's in form, guy that's got 4 in 2, and then leave him out. It doesn't make sense. If he carries on his form, how do you leave a man on like that? You can't.
The chat saying as well that Ekitike will ultimately play on the left, but he hasn't played him once.
Ekitike is arrogant. He plays with arrogance. You've seen that. He's a bit of a screw loose type of football, I'll be honest. From what I've seen, even that day with Ibu, you could tell something, If he doesn't play, he's going to be going, if he plays and he's fighting and then gets dropped for 2 or 3 games, I guarantee you he's going to flip. Write this down. He's that type of guy, Asim, that will throw his dummy out the pram, because you can tell.
If Mohamed Salah leaves, Sheen, then you have to look at your team. Then I love the 4-3-3, but if we don't have wingers, then we might have to settle. Look, the natural.
That's a great point.
Then you need 2 world.
There is a world.
Huh?
There is a world where we do go with 2 up front and we change the dynamics of the Premier League again.
Then we think, okay, what's our focal point at the tip of the diamond is floating inverts. Go supply them to big lads up front. Yeah. You've got the fullbacks, and we might have to invest. I know it's a short-term fix, and then maybe Semenyo, Gene. I know we bought him for 65 million pounds, but I think it's in terms of mentality. If Semenyo is playing probably a game on the bench once every 2.5 games / 3 games, Gene, I think he would be a lot more accepting of that.
I agree with you.
And then if we need to change 4-3-3 in certain games, no problem. But I think this 4-4-2, especially when Salah leaves, it might be the go-to area, and it also gets Florian Wirtz protection with 3 midfielders behind him. It gets Soboslai on the right hand side. It gets Curtis on the left of it, and then you've got Ryan Gravenberch, and then you add someone like Wharton. You've got more progression, a natural DM as well, passing ability. I think you might see something different from Liverpool once Salah leaves.
I think
pace though, is there?
the flying
Totally
fullbacks
changes the dynamic.
Because we've already got the flying fullbacks as well, Asim. It does make sense what you're saying.
Yeah,
You've got the flying fullbacks who will bomb on. It does make sense to
probably see Liverpool letting go Ekitike. I just can't, unless you see in 6 months' time where we see the proper Isak, where you say, okay, look, you want to stick to the 4-3-3 principles. You go get a proper natural winger to replace Mohamed Salah in terms of output and creativity. You go get a hard-working Semenyo on the left-hand side, and then you give a bit more protection to the likes of Isak and Olise playing in the front three, and you add depth on the left-hand side as well. But look, as much as I want Olise, and I know Liverpool want him, is it realistic? That is the thing. And then we're talking about release clauses of Semenyo. Is there a release clause of Olise? There's been some talk of that, hasn't there?
$1 million they were saying in it or something. There's a 100. But another question, Asim, and I think a lot of it's going to boil down to this. If we are going to stick with this, with the 2 up top and Florian Wirtz, our 2 big signings have to turn up first and foremost. Forget everything else. Yeah. Forget who, if we're going to stick with this formation, your 2 biggest signings that you made in the summer, Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak, they have to turn up at some point. Like when I say I mean properly turn up, where they're your forwards. These guys are going to work. They're going to bang. Your 3 up top are working. That's more important right now than thinking that this system is fully working. Because right now, this is a short fix. For me, that's why I think we will revert back unless we see these guys starting to play some unbelievable football. Isak starts, Florian Wirtz starts, and Ekitike is already flying. So if we can get them playing, then I can see us sticking. That's the key. Is will it stick? Will we be able to see the best of Liverpool, where you feel as though this team is good enough, number one, to go and challenge for a title with this formation and go and challenge for the Champions League, and number 2, and another big issue right now is next man's fitness, because it's a problem, and that's the truth. He had fitness issues at Newcastle. He's already had some fitness issues at Liverpool. Are you willing to not sign a winger? Because we definitely need to sign a winger. That is good without.
Yeah. You can't go without a winger in the squad.
Yes. So whether we've got Gakpo or not, we'll still need another, pacey winger. I don't know, man. Am I sold on this formation or not? I know we've won a couple of games, Asim. I know we've, done okay over the last 4 or 5 games. When we've transitioned into this way of playing, but there's still a lot of question marks.
Where I don't agree with this formation, and I've been critical of it over the last 4 or 5 weeks, is especially at Anfield. I don't like look at the way he started against Brighton. Like, he had Soboslai from the right wing, Gomez providing the width, Wirtz from the left. Like, both of those guys are going to come inside. And I know we packed the midfield is because we're trying to put, you guys are calling this a short-term fix in terms of packing the central midfield, don't get counted. And in terms of central progression, if we lose it, we've got our numbers in the center of the pitch in terms of our rest defense. I get it. But is it sustainable over a season? No, it's not. But the tweak it, I don't mind it. If you've got 2 lads up top, you've got Florian Wirtz from the number 10 position, and then you've got the 3 midfielders, I don't mind it. Because when you look at our fullbacks, then Bradley doesn't need to get involved. You've got Curtis getting involved in the build-up. I think that 4-4-2 or whatever you want to call it, I think you've got your midfielder as the focal point in Florian Wirtz, number 10, sorry. You've got your 2 lads who can interchange. You've got the diamond formation as well. You've got legs in Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones. I think the only problem with the diamond is you're totally reliant, not totally reliant. If there's no width from the fullback, it can collapse. But for me, the beauty of this diamond, or the guys with the tip of either side of Gravenberch, is it is very fluid, it is very dynamic. And even when you saw it against Brighton, sometimes Curtis Jones would come into the left back, but Florian Wirtz would come and be part of the double pivot. McAllister would be part of the double pivot. So there's a lot of fluidity there. But is it over reliant on your four fullbacks? I think it can be. But Szoboszlai and Jones can get out there. They have got the legs. But I just don't see another
the ball. We're gonna get murdered, bro. With it, I've seen if you're gonna play with the same diamond. Sorry, Ben. If you're gonna play with the same diamond and your right back and your left back are Kirkes and Frimpong, yeah, that's what you're trying to. We're gonna have to play flying fullbacks.
Yeah, but
unless you're buying it a proper DM.
Yeah, obviously the DM.
You have to buy a proper, and if you need an Anderson to allow something like that to take place, because otherwise we're already struggling because your forwards are still Ekitike, Florian Wirtz, and Isak. The front two are not the best pressers. They're not the best screeners. Let's be honest. We've seen that over the last 4 or 5 games. They're not the best pressers. We're going to get struggle off the ball because your forwards, your fullbacks are still going to push on. But we definitely need Anderson has to be in that team then. Because off the ball, we're going to get smashed. I'm telling you.
Where would Anderson?
This is the thing. Now you want your two Curtis Jones and you want Thingy to play. Dominic Szoboszlai, then you got to get rid of Gravenberch and play somebody who's better defensively.
The thing is, if you in a 4-3-3, you've got Florian Wirtz in the number 10, but there's only 2 midfielders behind him. Gene, here he's at the tip of the diamond, but at least he's got 3 midfielders behind him.
Yeah, but off the ball, Asim, when I look at this team off the ball over the way we played with this diamond, we're still too easy to play through, man.
No, I think that is more down to our passive 4-4-2 mid block.
I don't know. But we had Jones. We had Gomez at right back, and they were doing that. Imagine you've got a full back there. That's another attacker. Come on, yard, please.
Yeah, but think about it. Look, Gomez was at times he was playing right wing for the first 20 minutes. Our out ball was Joe Gomez.
He was an out ball. Out ball. I just think off the ball, unless this formation that you want to play, I'm with it. If you want to play the best players, fine. But if you don't have a combative 6 in there, like I don't know, maybe we're making Anderson in there, bro, we're gonna struggle.
I think long term he's thinking about the idea. I think long term he's looking at the idea of Wirtz being part of that midfield 3, and then you unlock the front 3. At the moment, we're having to carry Wirtz to a certain degree in a front 3 as a tip of a diamond, but not as part of the midfield 3. So you're still having to play 3 behind him. Whereas if he can develop his body strength and his ability and whatnot off the ball, then he will become part of that midfield 3. I would assume, with 2 more defensive profile midfielders behind him. I think, and then you can then go down your route of your attacking your front 3 of Isak and 2 wingers potentially. But I think at this moment in time, this is just a means to an end, isn't it? Really, and it's just because of the situation. And we're not going to see the real, or what we hope to be, the next generation of real Liverpool until Mo leaves.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about the 4-4-2. In terms of Wirtz, for your number 10, especially on the big day when he has to do a bit more defending, you've got, like Gene said, Ekitike is decent. Isak is not, in terms of a pressing component. But off the ball, then you've got, I don't mind Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai needs to be on the right off the ball to protect your right back, to protect Isak up top. But then you've got Florian Wirtz as the left winger off the ball. That is the only thing. I'm in a 4-3-3. Florian Wirtz in the number 10 position, off the ball is the second striker, and I don't mind that. I want that. I want my number 10 off the ball to be as a second striker.
I want to play 4-3-3 and 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that is our formation, man. That is how we play football.
Okay, let's stick with that then, Gene. Let's stick with that. Let's try to quickly put a team out. If you want to stick with 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, call it what you want. I'm gonna do a 4-3-3 for Liverpool in the next 18 months to 2 years. Realistically, yeah. Let's stick with Ali because I can't be asked discussing when he's gonna leave. Centre backs in 2 years' time. Shall we stick with? Let's say Kanate is staying. Kanate on the right hand side. I'm gonna give you Gehi on the left hand side. You're playing a 4-3-3 now. Yeah,
I will always play for that all a 4-2-3-1, whatever you want to call it.
All backs, is Kirkes still there?
Kirkes will have to have, yeah, he will still be there.
Ben, get involved. Who's your right back? He's getting Bradley without asking.
No, I think there will have to be another right back, to be honest.
Okay, give me a right back.
Oh, I really like Livramento.
Okay, I'm giving you Livramento. So you've got your back four: Kirkes, Livramento, Gehi, and Kanate. 4-3-3 now, Gene. Yeah.
Nango. We're gonna have to sign another. Oh, this is gonna be so hard, man.
Midfield three now.
Yeah.
We're just going with all three of them.
Edison.
I'm gonna say Wharton, Gravenberch, and Wirtz.
So where's the boss lie?
I don't think he'll be there.
Ben, can you repeat what you said? You think Dominic, to my understanding, do you think Dominic Szoboszlai, I don't know why I sound so happy. Do you think Dominic Szoboszlai is not going to sign a new contract? Is that what
no, I haven't heard anything. I've got no understanding or idea, but I just think he will have done at the end of the World Cup. He didn't get into the World Cup. He will have done 3 years for Liverpool. He will have won a Premier League title. He's had a brilliant this season, and I just think he might look at the situation and think, you know what, if a Real Madrid or a Barcelona or another big European club comes calling, somebody with an Hungarian background, it might want another challenge, and Liverpool might see the opportunity to be able to get their money back at the least. And I think there's a top possibility that he might move on. Yeah, just a theory, but I think that Szoboszlai's really surprised a lot of people this season. He's had a great season so far, but I think at the end of last season the plan was to upgrade on Szoboszlai. And as I say, I think he's done everyone proud by showing them that I will show you. But I remember seeing the same scenario with Alonso when it was his last season, before he went to Real Madrid. And I just wonder whether or not it might be a situation where he could. I think there's a very good chance he could stay, but I don't know whether he's going to want to be a versatile player, every single year, where 1 week he plays there, 1 week he plays there. Because a lot of people said, I think we all said in the summer, you pick your best 11, without obviously knowing about the form that was going to be in. Everyone said, well, Szoboszlai will be in it, but we don't know where he'll be, because when it comes to picking positions, he's not the specialist in any position. And Wirtz, no matter what anyone thinks, the plan was to upgrade on Szoboszlai in the summer, I think. And obviously everything's flipped on its head, but I think that's what the theory was, and I think that's what the plan was. Szoboszlai is a brilliant runner off the ball sort of thing, but his decision making is still poor in the final third. And I think, say this is the absolute best that we're getting of him. And I just wonder whether or not they might think, what, if we can get a real hefty fee for him, they might look and go in a different direction.
But now that we've got the benefit of hindsight, Ben, there's no physicality. We want to add physicality, pace, and power.
Yeah, so we need. I think Mike Callister would go as well. Yeah, so we buy 2 midfields.
Hasn't Dom's case got even stronger? That you have to convince him, no matter what it takes, you have to convince him that this is a future captain of the football club.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as I say, this is just pure theory craft, isn't it? I think they definitely will sign another midfielder. And I think that at this moment in time, the logical departure is McAllister. But I think there's a possibility. We're talking 2 years' time, so not just this summer, but next summer as well. I think both of them might have gone. That's just my thought.
Wow. Gene, how many years does my phone battery's gone dead? How many years?
Well, 18 months left on his contract.
So basically, we have to sign him this summer.
I think so. I think he needs to be signed this summer.
Can you double check that?
Gravenberg, Szoboszlai, and McAllister, I think all three are up for renewal.
They all signed in the same summer, didn't he?
Yeah. So
Ben, do you think
all of them did 5 years, from what I can remember, Asim? So
yes or no?
Sorry,
I was going to go back to Ben on Szoboszlai. Do you think he signs a new contract then?
I think he might sign a new contract, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's not going to stay.
2 years left after this. 2 years.
He might sign a new contract to protect his value potentially.
Sorry, Sobo was 6.
So 2 years.
Yeah,
he's got 2 years left at
the end of the season. So he's got 2.5 years, call it.
Yeah, okay. So I think, and I think, given the situation with Diaz and the situation with Canate, I think that these suits are not going to let anyone go into the last year of the contract anymore. So I think if he doesn't sign this summer, they'll be like, right, okay, find a new club.
Gene, Dominic Szoboszlai does look like a player that you go to Madrid and you see him in those big, massive billboards. Good-looking lad, peak of his career.
Valverde replacement,
even though I don't know why they want to replace Valverde, but
they've been on Valverde's back, a little bit this season.
Have they?
On the chat saying they're both leaving this summer. I'm saying I'm not. I'm saying one this summer and one next summer. McAllister this summer and Szoboszlai.
Are you worried about Dominic?
I don't want Liverpool to sell Dominic Szoboszlai at any cost. Whatever it takes, get that contract signed. Whatever it costs. There's some players, Asim, that I mentioned before. You know what? They make your world class players tick. And imagine
you would have said that about McAllister last season, or wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Ben, I was saying exactly the same.
And potentially we wouldn't have said that about Szoboszlai last season. Well, if a big comes into it, I'd have a think about it. I remember people were saying that.
Yeah, and that's a fair. You make a fair point there, Ben, because we were all sat here going absolutely mental. Maybe not Asim as much, but we all loved McAllister last season. He was unbelievable. Probably one of our player of the seasons. And this season he's been absolute shite. But
I remember people saying McAllister's a future captain. He'll be the next
like
captain.
you mentioned, I think this league is becoming a lot more physical. You can't lose one of your most physical footballers, and we have to do whatever it takes for him to sign. Do I think he will sign a contract? I think Liverpool will come to an agreement with him.
I hope so. Well, I sincerely do.
No, what Gene means there, and what you meant as well, you said it more clear than Gene, Ben, is I think what Gene means is like, take your money now, take your contract, but if we get an offer of 85, 90 million pounds, you can go. Is that what you're saying?
I think Liverpool will. There will be a time. You're saying 2 years, Galad. Let's be honest. It's not now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So we have to be. We have to understand that this is in 2 years' time. Yeah. So in 2 years' time, there might be a scenario
so
where
the rest of this season and the whole of next season, he would be.
Yeah, I think there might be a case where you look at it might be because this is his best what we've seen of Dominic Szoboszlai, and he's at the peak of his powers right now from what we've seen anyway. Obviously, he might progress over the next 18 months and become an even better footballer. But that obviously we'll have to wait and see. I don't want to sell or let go of Szoboszlai. I really, really don't. We need him, but if he's gonna stay and he signs a new contract, which is it's possible. I think the big clubs are gonna come calling for Szoboszlai.
Yeah. I think people have to get on board with the idea as well.
Real Madrid are gonna come for Dominic Szoboszlai, but they don't want McAllister. They want Szoboszlai because people need.
Wow. People need to get on board with the idea as well that Klopp was very much a manager who had players for 5-6 years or something, and he was very much about loyalty and very much about keeping players. Make no mistake about it, there were certain members of that squad that should have been sold before they were sold, and I think this new regime is a lot more open to the idea of selling players for big sums of money. and big value so that we can reinvest that money, because there's no point, saying, oh, we'll go and sign 2 or 3 players every 3 or 4 years. There needs to be a consistent chain. But Liverpool haven't got an unlimited amount of cash. They've got a lot to invest. But if you've got 1 or 2 players that you can sell for 50, 60, 70 million every summer, that really boosts your kitty. Manchester City have been doing it for the last few years.
Well, isn't it that exact thing that's got us in trouble this year? Why did we need to sell? I would have preferred, and I'm not again using that term again tonight, Ben, with the benefit of the hindsight. Look, I understand why the business model and all that sort of stuff. We don't have a sugar daddy, even though if we did have a sugar daddy at the helm of the club, it's very, very difficult. Just look at Newcastle. Their hands are tied. They've got a bucket load of money, but they just can't spend it. I get it. Sorry?
They're not Liverpool Football Club where they can actually go and still spend stupid.
Especially with PSR and stuff like that.
We bring in crazy amounts as well.
But, for someone like Diaz, I would have preferred him just to run out his contract. And
yeah, I agree.
There's a fine line between doing the right business, but then shooting yourselves in the foot. And I think there's a bit of an element to that this year, Ben.
Yeah, but then I think they wanted to make a statement that we've been crying all summer about the likes of Konate going into his last year of his deal, as letting Salah and Van Dijk go into the last year of their deal, us not letting the players take the piss out of us. So I think that the line was being drawn in the sand to say, right, Diaz, you've got 2 years left on your contract. You're either signing what we're offering you or we're selling you, and that's a precedent being set. Now,
I like that, Ben. I don't want another player that sat there crying about fucking 18 months of his contract, 12 months left of his contract, and them having us by the balls and where, like Konate this year, his contract's come up and he's not playing. Whatever the reason, if you're down to 2 years, and I promised myself with Trent last summer, and I said exactly the same thing. You've got 2 years left. Sign a contract or go get us. We're gonna go and get a fee in for you. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't want no player leaving for free.
Exactly, and that's exactly where I'm at. And you break down all of the players that we sold in the summer. Nunes, everybody was done with. We sold him. End of story. Jota, obviously, we know is a scenario that nobody was foreseen. Trent was something that was pretty much planned for 2-3 years. So Diaz was the only controversial one, but it was because of the scenario that we've just said, where the line was being set in the sand. And I think that's the right way to go. And I think, hindsight again, you probably could have said, right, we'll sold Gakpo and keep Diaz. But Gakpo signed his deal, and he's like, yeah, okay, well, you're fit, you're available, you've contributed, you had the really good numbers last season, so there's no reason why you couldn't contribute considerably again this season. And obviously, it hasn't happened for him like it hasn't happened for a lot of the players. But I think it was for the bigger picture. Even though in the context of the scenario, we're missing Diaz considerably this season for balance, I think in the bigger context of how the club is run, I think it was the right decision to say no more players past 2 years.
Another thing, Asim, you mentioned before you carry on, another thing we have to understand is, if obviously Jota didn't happen, would we have signed 2 strikers? I think you mentioned this before. We would have signed a Diaz replacement with that money.
Yeah.
So, because of what happened, we would have had a Diaz replacement, probably 99, we would have definitely had a replacement if that unfortunate thing didn't happen. So, sometimes it just worked out the way it's worked out this season, where we feel like we're short on that side because of, going hard in the forward line.
I think there's been
sorry, go on.
I think there's been an internal, what's the word, reflection of where the league is going. I think there's been a bit of an oversight across the pitch, and the manager been talking about it, long balls and all the physicality and long throws. I think Liverpool might change tact a bit in the summer, and I think part of Szoboszlai's role is leading that. Whether it's a captain's role in 2-3 years' time, whether it's an integral part of him being in the manager, I think there's some internal regret as well. You talk about how Szoboszlai internally, personally, will be feeling that, this manager, I gave him all my energy last year, tracking back and playing million positions last year, and playing probably 1,000,001 positions this year as well. I think there's been a few newfound more respect from the manager this year, and he's been sort of talking about it in publicly as well, where how many positions he's played, and I think Liverpool will reflect that in their contract offer with Szoboszlai. And I believe that Dominic Szoboszlai would have signed a new contract by now if it wasn't for our league situation and all the problems that we've had. I believe that Dominic Szoboszlai led and made sure, and has, I think, personally speaking, has said to Liverpool, you know what? I'm not in no frame of mind talk. I want to stay at the club, but I'm not in no frame of mind to discuss contracts because I want to sort my team out. And I think Liverpool have really respected that as well. And so hopefully Liverpool sort their league position out, sort the team out, sort themselves out. And I think hopefully in the next 2-3 months' time, you'll see Dominic Szoboszlai sign a new contract.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, I hope he does stay. Like he's one of my favorite players. I really like him. I'm just sort of predicting where he might be thinking from a career perspective. You know, he loves Liverpool, obviously, or you know, he enjoys playing for Liverpool. Let's not say love; it's a big word. But it's like he might be thinking about his career. But for me personally, I'd be selling Gravenberch and McAllister before Szoboszlai any day.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So and let's, you know, that could well be the case. That could well be the case. I think. Who knows? If it was my choice, Gravenberch and McAllister would have moved on in 2 years.
Asim, there was a super chat. We'll just quickly run through it. Banter is fine. Thank you very much for your super chat, Banter. He goes, this imaginary combative 6 people are clamoring for wouldn't rectify Slot's passive structural tendencies, which is our real issues when in a block, Asim.
I see what he's saying. He's saying basically, if you're going to be in a structure, if you're going to be in a passive block where you're marking space rather than the man, then it doesn't matter who you've got, whether you've got a Ryan Gravenberch. But the thing is, if Declan Rice is marking space, that transition from marking space to the man, if you've got a Declan Rice doing it rather than a Ryan Gravenberch, there is going to be a difference because, you know, Declan Rice covers ground better than Ryan Gravenberch. But as a collective, I see where it's coming from, where you've got a passive structure, generally speaking. Yeah, if you've got, you know, I don't know, Curtis Jones and Szoboszlai and Gravenberch in a really passive block, then the gaps appear. And then, like what you just talked about, if you've got someone like Ekitike or Gakpo and Isak, you know, screening from the front, who don't have those natural tendencies to drop and sit on the pivot and then jump and then get back in. And then we're not using Szoboszlai from the number 10 position for his counter-pressing from the front, then it doesn't matter what you do or who you get, generally speaking, even though I've just given the example of Declan Rice, it won't improve the deficiencies of a passive block. But I think Liverpool do need to, and this is the reason why I think I want, even though I can understand it to a touch where he's afraid to go to man and full throttle because he feels like he doesn't have the duelers from the front. He doesn't have the duelers in the back. He doesn't have the duelers in the back line as well. So he thinks if I make it all about dueling, we're just not winning enough duels. So at the moment, he's gone, okay, I'm not going to go man-to-man from the minute one. What I'll do is I'll pack the midfield with a lot of even small players like Wirtz and McAllister and all these guys. And then we'll have a lot of passing lines on the ball. And then in terms of numbers off the ball, we'll pack the midfield as well, is because we might not have the natural individual traits like Declan Rice and all these guys and Caicedo, but we've got men in there. So that's the way he's gone. And I can slightly understand it, but I still have problems with this passive block, the 4-4-2. I liked it in the first half. I was going to write a thread on it, but
the first half was good. We were like, we flipping pressed and everything. We went at them. It was a lot better. But then within 25 minutes, you saw Brighton, begin to play. They started playing football, and we couldn't handle it. That's the simple truth at times.
Yeah, the thing is, when Arsenal do it, their transition from space to man is a lot better. But they've got, like, Odegaard, for example, he's not a number 10 that you see. You know what? He's like, you can't compare him to someone like Eze or Maddison. I wouldn't put him anywhere near that. And that's one of the reasons why, when they weren't creating enough chances, Arsenal fans, and I've been critical of him as well, that season where he had 10 goals and 10 assists, That's the kind of number 10 that you want, especially from an Arsenal team that controls the game so much. But there was calls for him last season to be just like a Bernardo Silva type of player, where he can come into really deep areas and recycle play, because he's very, very good at that as well. And I can see that. But the point that they were trying to make is he a natural number 10 where he just is very, very disciplined and receive on the half turn? He's not, because he's got natural tendencies in a way like Florian Wirtz as well, where he goes into deep areas wanting to feel the ball. So, but the point I'm making in Odegaard is still physicality in a different sense. But he's
massively press resistant though, Odegaard, isn't he? He isn't that physical, really, if you think about it. He doesn't, but he almost like never seems to come up against a challenge, because he just seems so press resistant, because he's so comfortable on the ball. And I suppose that's where your top technical players counter the physicality by never really getting dragged into it. Like I keep expecting someone to clatter Zubamendi, but he just doesn't get dragged into that physicality. Yeah. But then you still see, though, if he gets turned, he's in real trouble. He got a yellow card in the first 10 minutes against what's called, was it in the derby? And they were all over. Was it the derby? No, was it Newcastle? Newcastle, sorry, yeah. They were all over them, weren't they? And then obviously they went down to 10 men, and it changed the game completely. But
the reason why I mentioned that, Ben, is in terms of, like, we stick on the 4-4-2 block, is Arsenal have got the players, and then when you've got Rice, and then the fullbacks Calafiori, Timber, Ben White, and then you got the two fullbacks, and then you've got someone like Martinelli, who is really, really physical, and then you've got a guy who never stops running, Gyökeres. I know he's not, and Havertz as well, Jesus, in different ways they provide so much physicality. But when they're in a when they're in the block, when they transition in, it's a lot more aggressive, because they've got a lot of players who've got the natural nous to roll their sleeves up. I don't think Liverpool have got the natural nous, where if they mark in space, they don't have that aggressive nature. Szoboszlai, yes. Gravenberch, he's got long legs. He's decent at intercepting and reading the game, but putting a tackle in, he's not that player. McAllister, we know what we've been talking about it for the last 6 months. Just not enough players. Gakpo, not enough players. Salah, not enough players. And then, who else is there? Plenty of players who just can't duel. And maybe that is the reason why the manager doesn't want to go into a man-to-man press. But the problem is mid-block is too passive, and we don't win enough duels if we go just purely on 1v1. So, but something has to give in the summer. Something has to give. And maybe that is the link we go back to in Semenyo. Semenyo does give us verticality and directness. Semenyo does give us aerial duels. And just going back to the Brighton game, where we launched an attack, where if it's an aggressive press, which Brighton were, and we have to launch it to Salah and Joe Gomez to start acting like Drogba, or if it's normally Salah, where he has to act like Drogba. That was one trait that Mane had, where you can pluck it out, you can switch it over to him, whether it's from Alisson or Trent or Van Dijk, wherever the switch or long ball came from, Mane could be a Drogba-esque and chest it down and turn. That's what I think Semenyo would give you. So he's an out ball, but he's also a guy, I think one of the best traits, the strongest traits Semenyo has is when the ball is loose and it's a bit stretched, he makes a loose moment into a proper attack. And I think if Liverpool are not going to have Diaz in terms of the ball carrying ability, they're not going to have the switch and the long ball from Trent, then Semenyo gives them an acceleration in tempo and in the attack through his robustness. He can feel contact. He can carry a ball. He's versatile on both flanks. And I think that's what they miss. Yes, he's not the greatest and he's not got the highest ceiling, but I think his versatility and his robustness and he'd be able to turn a normal loose moment into a situation. I think that's his best strength, his biggest strength. So let's see what happens. I don't know how that conversation came back to Semenyo, but it did.
It did. Should we have a quick look at the table, guys? This is where we're at. This is where we're at after tonight's game. That's included United's result as well tonight. It's a funny league, isn't it? You know, I think I read something the other day. This is the most defeats at this stage in the season collectively in the Premier League. So it shows you that, you know, I think the PSR's got something to do with this. I really do. In that, you know, you may not see the out and out class and quality that you've seen in the last few years, but collectively the league overall is really, really like competitive, and that genuinely you can have one team who can beat any other team on any given day, and we've seen that so far. If you look at that there, Aston Villa are on 33 points, or you know, it's not a huge jump at all there, down to 10th, and that shouldn't really be the gap at this point in the season at all, really.
5th, bloody hell, 5th. We're joint 5th, but we're joint 8th as well.
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. You know, people would argue that Chelsea have had a pretty good season so far, and we're 2 points behind them. You know, Villa obviously have had that brilliant run after losing like 5 games in a row at the beginning of the season, and City and Arsenal obviously doing well, but again, still lost 6 games between them at this stage, and we're not even at the halfway points.
Go on, Ben. Are you trying to tell me we can win the league?
No, I think that would be, you know, you're looking at Arsenal collapsing now, but I think 3rd place is minimum we should still be looking at if we get our players going. But we'll see. We'll see. There's nobody else.
Sorry, I look at that table, Qassam, and I just think about the fucking shit games we lost. Qassam, I look at that table right now and I think we're fucking
guys.
2 fucking shitty wins. If we could have got 6 out of them, we would have been fucking 4 points.
Sunderland, the lead gives you 4 points, doesn't it?
Yeah, 2 wins would have gotten us in a title race. Okay, I'm not saying we're gonna win it, but fucking we were involved. I'm not gonna lie to you, it pains me to see fucking Villa, City, and Arsenal going for the fucking title race. We're fucking sat in 7th. I don't like it. I don't like seeing it.
Sunderland and Leeds to, you know, win both of those games, which we're more than in
Sunderland,
our grasp
Leeds
of
and
doing.
Forest at home, 3-0.
Yeah.
7 points, bro. We could have been bloody. And anyway, I don't want to start crying over spilt milk. End of the day, we were shit.
Who's your money on for the league at the moment?
I think if Haaland stays fit, City win the league.
I agree. I hope you do as well. I've just got the zen about losing the title to Pep Guardiola and City is just fine with me in general, because they basically just, you know, have the best manager, can spend what they want, so I can get on board with that. What I can't get on board with is what's called a world class Sam Allardyce type team winning the league.
Tom's not giving up. He thinks we can still win the league.
Does he?
He says,
look, I don't want Arsenal to win the league. So City winning it, if they win it, they win it. But somebody mentions in the comment, Merker, he goes, this guy, Cherki and Ford are going to carry him. Cherki and Forden over the last month have been unbelievable. Cherki, man, honestly, the guys really impressed me, But I think is Doku injured? Did he pick something up? You're on loud. You're on thingy.
He wasn't on the bench that day.
Might be injured then. If Doku's injured, that is a big miss to him. They have got City have got a way with.
I don't think it's long term.
Okay, no, even if it's a month, that's in this 4 game. If you miss like 3 or 4 games, when you're going for a title, that's massive. Anything can happen, and he's been yes injured. He's been really good for him this season.
He has.
He's out for 2 weeks.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, they've got to play at City as well.
They've got to play at City as well. Yeah.
If you were Monchi at Aston Villa, would you even contemplate the idea of having a big spend in January and going for it?
They can't spend, can they?
Well, they would have PSR, but if they won the league, I think it would probably, be counted with.
But they're not in the Champions League. They're in that other Europa League, I think, and that that plays a different. That if they've got 1 game a week, obviously I'm not saying they're gonna go and win the league, but they're on some sort of crazy run. But because I can't see Villa mounting a proper challenge. They might be thereabouts, but they're not gonna actually go till the end.
Who do you think wins the league, Gene?
I can't say Arsenal or City.
So we all going
Just
City.
I don't.
yeah,
want
I'm
Arsenal
going
to
City.
win.
Yeah, I just don't want to contemplate Arsenal. Just out of interest, if Aston Villa win the Europa League, they get into the Champions League. But if they finish in the Champions League positions, does that mean Champions League goes to 6th?
Yes, I think it does.
If I told you boys that
mad,
Liverpool buy 3 players in January, would you still stick to your prediction of Liverpool finishing 3rd?
No, I wouldn't. If we buy 3 players in January,
Yeah.
we can get back in this title race.
Oh, Ben, I know you too well.
No, I wanted to say it before, but I was too scared to say it.
Okay, all right. You know, we might as well play. Okay.
I knew Ben. I knew Ben
players?
is dying to say it.
Ben, which 3 players come in and Liverpool win the league? Go on.
I knew Ben.
Mark gave one of them. Semenyo
I gave him 3
and,
signings.
and one more. Go on, give me one more.
No, it's not. I don't think it's Semenyo. If it is to win the league, I think we'd have to buy a real belter in the attack.
Oh my
genuine.
God. Only we can do this. Only we can do this. Get rid of the money.
Realistically, it's Gay, Semenyo, and it's a midfielder.
Yeah. But I think for us to really win the league, boys, it's not even about signings. We need fucking Alexander Isak to start becoming Alexander Isak. Yeah, and we need Florian Wirtz to be Florian Wirtz. Honestly. But obviously bring in the 2 players that we need in terms of Semenyo and Gay. But we need these 2 to fucking start, man. I need these 2 to start being what you are, what we bought you for. Because they can imagine them 2, you know, playing the way with what we think they're gonna play. They'd be fucking unbelievable, but they're nowhere near.
Does that win us the league?
No. But I tell you what, the other one I would, and I know everyone hates it, but I tell you what, if you bring me Semenyo, Andy Gordon, and Guay in January, I'm all in.
Oh, we'd be pressing monsters again.
We'd
be pressing monsters again.
Oh my God! Within a space of 2 weeks,
we'd be pressing the shit out of teams.
That would be interesting.
Within a space of 2 weeks, B and I have gone from slot out to slipping women into the league.
Absolute disgrace of a channel on. No integrity whatsoever.
Like and subscribe, people. Like and subscribe.
I much prefer these shows though than to the absolutely depression merchant ones that we've had over the last few weeks. But yeah, a lot of people saying Morgan Rogers as well. Would you would you try and do a deal for Morgan Rogers?
We've got our 10, man.
Yeah, we have, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got our 10. But you know, yeah, we need to flip and go, and we need them 2 to start producing. Man. That is key, man. We need them 2 to start producing.
Oh my God.
Don't worry, I think guys enjoy it, man. Any pata next week might go and lose to bloody Spurs knowing goes, and we'll be down in the dumps again. So let's just think,
We'll smash them on Saturday. They're a mess at the moment, especially at home. Yeah, I reckon we'll batter them. A week off as well.
They're at home.
We haven't had a week off, like a week to prepare for a while now. So, and I think all of a sudden they've only got 13, 14, but there's a couple of people who are like, you've all of a sudden you'll have Frimpong back in training. Gomez might be able to shake off that knock. Bradley's fit and fresh again now as well. You've got Kirkes and Robertson who will have had a week. Obviously, Kanate and Van Dijk will go again. You've got a couple of options in midfield now, maybe 3 fighting for 4, 4 fighting for 5. And then you've got, you've got your players in attack. So, I think we'll batter the Spurs.
Okay. I want you to talk about the defense. We have to buy a defender, guys. It is... I said Liverpool, if they didn't get...
you didn't go for Avi yesterday, man. Avi will say, you can say it tomorrow.
I completely forgot. I got a lot of shit, Ben, from Gene and especially Avi, saying, no, we have to play Gomez every single game until he gets injured. Like he's going to give us like 15 games. Well, that's what happened. This is why I wanted to manage the situation.
Slot said the same as well, didn't he? He's like, now you know why I don't play him every week. And it's harsh, but we need to remember that the manager is with the players week in, week out, day in, day out. They've got all the data that we've got. A lot more data than we've got. And even so, if we can see something, then they definitely can see something. And the reality is, Joe Gomez is a pure luxury and nothing more.
I think it was self-sabotage that Liverpool didn't buy a centre-back on the last day of the season, in the summer, after Leone, before Leone. And I think, look, they were saying, yeah, Gay's a player that we've admired for a long time, and he would improve a team if you buy him for 30 million, 40 million, or wait for him to, end his contract. He's that kind of player, Premier League proven, leader, dual ball playing defender. You describe him any way you like, he will improve your team. And he's versatile as well, playing across the back line. But you could not have made that mistake where if you didn't get him, you had to make sure you have a plan B and a plan C. And I think Liverpool, I said, look, they will feel the effects of it, because look who we had. We were quite lucky with Konate, and I think we were quite lucky with Konate this season. Inshallah, he'll stay fit. But let's be honest, he's still, the way he plays as well, it's a very, very...
Some people don't want him to stay fit.
Yeah, but I hope he stays fit. And even the guys I don't even like Ibu Konate and want him to leave, even them guys or them people want him to stay fit. Leone, we all know what happened. Gomez, we all know what happened. We got 2 centre-backs. And doesn't matter how much the manager, Ben, talks about options with centre-back, with Gravenberch and Endo. I think it's a load of tosh. Honestly, we've got 2 centre-backs. It would be absolutely criminal and a sackable offence. I'm sure the manager wants a centre-back or 2 in January. So if Liverpool don't bring a centre-back in January, I'm only looking towards Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards. Those are the only 2 people I'm looking at. But I don't believe, and I think Liverpool are toning it down even before, even before Joe Gomez got injured. They'll be playing it even more down. The manager will be coming out and talking about Gravenberch being the best centre-back in the world over the next 3-4 weeks. I can guarantee you that. I think Liverpool are making moves on one, Jeremy Jacquet, but I've also heard they're still big admirers of Van der Ven. What do you make of him? Injury concerns, hamstring concerns, but I'm told that Liverpool have always liked him even before they moved to Tottenham, and they still like him. Would you go for him?
Yeah, I like him. Yeah, I really like him. Yeah, good profile, rapid, done some great stuff. Makes a few sort of like a little bit like Konate in some ways, in that I think he can switch off a little bit. Sometimes concentration levels drop off a little bit, but then maybe in a serious club, because I'm still not having Tottenham as a serious club, if I'm being honest. At a serious club, he might step up a gear again, especially maybe alongside or in motion with Van Dijk. But yeah, I was just going to say that actually, there's no guarantee that Gay comes, because he might have changed his mind and then want to go on the free in the summer, or there might have been other suitors come along since then. So, you have to hope that there is another alternative, because you're right, we absolutely do need a centre back in January. But at the same time, I also think that the suits are like, I've done it before and they'll do it again. They're like, if there's not anybody who they want desperately, then they will take the risk, and they will walk the tightrope, because they've done it before. And then they're like, no, we'll wait for the player who we really want, and we'll get him in the summer. The only problem with that is I think the summer's going to be really busy again. I think it could be another 4 or 5 in the summer. I really do. So therefore, I think they've got to make the most of the January window. Because I think this transition now, which we can all see is clearly in motion, you're talking about us going big in 2-3 summers, 2-3 windows. So January is key.
Big up to what was he called? What was his channel called before? Jamie Chats or something? I can't even remember.
Yeah.
Jamie,
I can't remember.
Yeah, but anyway,
Liverpool Chats, yeah. Big up Jamie.
Liverpool Chat. Always in the building, and showing his love to the channel as well. And Jamie, we need to get you on as well, man. Very, very soon as well. Hope you're good, bro. Banter is fine. I think we've gone through that. Banter is fine again. Talking about who's
Jamie Phillips Chats. That's what it was.
That's the one. Arsenal will win, and plus their full attacking quarter are returning. Yeah, it's a fair point, to be fair, honest with you.
Banter is skint. He should change his name too.
City defense structure is as penetrable as Liverpool's, in my opinion. What I would say to Bante is fine if they get Rodri to some sort of fitness, then that penetrable off the ball structure won't be as a factor. It's because when we are looking for a player, a metronome in Zubamendi, a metronome in Wharton, and a progressive one as well, they have that. And when you have that, you can defend with the ball and you increase your possession by 5-10%. So that is the thing that I would say. But Rodri is taking ages. He might even never be the same player. And
are you worried about this, guys?
Who would Semenyo come in for? They'd have to get rid of one. Semenyo was linked away, wasn't he?
I think Semenyo would possibly go, yeah. But there's a position for him on the right, isn't it? That's pretty clear to see. They haven't really replaced Mahrez, have they?
Yeah, but Shirky's been playing there recently, allowing Nunes to get, high and wide. But I think
they like to have a proper squad, man. He loves his wingers, man. If there's one thing about Pep that he loves, he knows he wants at least 2-3 wingers in each, minimum 2 wingers in each position.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
we're going to come on and actually make a difference.
And I think every manager up and down the country is seeing Semenyo and seeing where the league is going, and he takes throw-ins as well. So I know.
Yeah, it was good, yeah. Bullets.
I spent 30 million on him just for his throw-ins. We need a good thrower.
Yeah. And the thing with Gueye as well is I see him being a replacement for John Stones, because I think John Stones has run his race now come the summer. And you think English like for like, come in and replace him. It does make sense if we're being perfectly honest. But who knows? Who knows? Let's just hope that we've already had enough conversations to convince him.
Yeah, 100%. Gene, would you take Van de Ven?
To Asim, I don't want to see injury-prone players.
Really?
He's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I like him. He's got pace. He's got the physicality and all that type of stuff. But a guy that's injured, bro, I don't want to see injury-prone players. I'm sick of him. I'm sick of Isak and Dan are injury-prone. I don't want another. And he's not exactly going to be 10-15 million, bro. You're going to have to spend a lot of money on him. It's Spurs. They get their money. Yeah, Spurs always get their money.
Yeah, he's 50 million now.
I'm not spending 70 million pound on a player who's injury prone. F that.
Would he be? I want to see a defense like that. Without a natural DM, I don't think our 2 fullbacks in a 4-3-3 can work. With Ryan Gravenberch, with Bradley and Kirkes, I'm desperate for a Bastoni. Schlotterbeck, I worry about his recovery pace. I don't worry about Van de Ven's recovery pace. But I wouldn't be against the idea of playing 3 centre-backs in a back 4 and then letting go of Frimpong and Bradley. I don't mind it.
Look, that's fine. If you've got,
I think it will add physicality as well. I'm not saying it's a week in, week out option, but it's an option we must address because every team has it. City can do it with Guardiola. City can do it with Nathan Ake, even though he hasn't been playing a lot. They did it with Akanji, even from a left back, right back option as well, even though he's gone. They've got Guardiola, the guy who's made in the lab. Arsenal have got Calafiori. We don't have it. And I want Liverpool in this type of league to have that option. We do have Joe Gomez. He just can't stay fit, unfortunately.
Yeah, we do actually have the perfect player. We actually do have him.
Can't stay fit. Yeah.
Just can't stay fit.
And that's another reason why I don't want Van de Ven. Even though Bilal's saying, he's improved his
I want to see his injury record,
Maybe,
I think a lot of injuries might be down to Ange's high line. Honestly, that high line couldn't have done any defender any favors.
Maybe Gueye's that type of player, though. Because he can play fullback as well, can't he?
He can. But I think that natural balance, Ben, of a left footer. I know he's both-footed, generally speaking.
He's been injured this season, right?
I'm sure he's been injured this season, no?
Well, I'm just looking at his 20. The last injuries that are coming up on transfer market. He picked up 4 last year. Yeah, but that was because of Ange, innit? No
How's
injuries.
his injury record in Holland?
The current regime, in Holland.
Yeah.
He's had obviously just his hamstrings, man. That always hamstring.
Yeah.
And he was out for a while, man. He was for Tottenham. Bro, he's missed bare games for Tottenham.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't want to touch him.
Loads.
Fuck that.
Sticking with Tottenham, Ben, would you take Romero? If I just give you a no.
No, it's too much like Lovren for me. Too rash. Too hot-headed. He's a good defender, but I don't think he's certainly not a Van Dijk replacement.
Oh, Germany,
yeah.
Van de Ven played. Sorry, Ben. Van de Ven played at Wolfsburg. Would you play at Wolfsburg?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was at Wolfsburg before. Possibly, yeah.
Was it Werder Bremen? One of them two. But no, Wolfsburg. But Asim, look at thingies. If you look at his career. Yeah.
Would you take Romero, Gene?
For what?
For Liverpool. And
how do
you rate him?
If he was a year ago, I would have taken him. Yeah, I like him.
I'd rather
I like
the one that I really like.
You can say he's a bit rash. He's got all that type of stuff. But sometimes I want somebody like him.
He's a winner.
Sometimes you need a player like him. Yes, he's a bit rash, but I think at Liverpool, look, if we're gonna say and blame what's it called, Spurs' manager for Van de Ven, then we got to be honest and blame him for flipping Romero as well. Romero's a good defender, man. He's actually a decent defender. Yes, he's got a bit of a mad moment in him. We all know that, but he's still a good defender.
Yeah, he is a good defender. Yeah, I like the other one. I like is Van Hecker as well. I think he's a good footballer.
Good passer.
He's a good footballer, no doubt about it. Yeah. In terms of his his passing and everything's brilliant.
He would certainly fix our problems from deep progression, definitely. Or
There's
help
another
at least.
player there. There's another player there who's been constantly linked with Liverpool. Is Murillo? Would you take him?
Mm.
Would you?
Who, Murillo?
No,
I'm not sold on him.
But again, he's a good player, but it just feels like he can't have a midget as your centre half.
Yeah, I think that's.
Sorry to all the midgets watching tonight. I apologise. But yeah, I feel like to be a centre back at Liverpool, you've got to be 6 foot at least. He's only just, isn't he?
He's got a really good left foot, I think we saw that. He scored a goal.
Yeah,
Allah, mate.
Yeah, we shall see. With these sort of players, I think Liverpool, how they look at it is just how they looked at bringing in a manager. They have similar methods in bringing a player. What they don't want is, for example, that's one of the reasons why Sacco didn't work at Liverpool, is because Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, when he came in, he wanted to play front foot football. And Sacco, where was he at? Palace? When he left,
wasn't
he? When he left, is those sort of players I don't think could have worked in Jurgen Klopp's eyes, and I agreed with him as well. Is those guys play you have to play football when you play for Jurgen Klopp on the halfway line. And one, do you have the recovery pace, and two, do you have the ball progression? And I just don't think he had that. He didn't have the carrying ability, and he was just a pure defender. Let's clear it out. And I think that's what Liverpool might look at Murillo, which environment and which team he plays in. His obviously underlying numbers will be decent in terms of his ping and his passing and stuff like that. But I think they might look at it. It's a completely different setup. And one, you're playing in a 5-4-1, 4-5-1, and a load of defensive midfielders in front of you, where it's just pure about defending and counter-attacking. I think Liverpool look at that and they feel it's an integral part of bringing in someone and giving them the environment. They don't want something completely different. That's I think you have to bear that in mind. You have to bear that in mind.
It's interesting, there isn't that many obvious we all want him sort of scenario, is there really? It's just we definitely need. And the mad part about all this is that at his very best, Konate is probably still better than all of these.
Yeah.
But it's the consistency, isn't it? That's the real problem. But if we had the right Konate and the head switched on Konate, then we'd be like, yeah, we'll sign you. And you're the man.
Look, I've gone to town on Konate, but then it's easy to fucking blame Konate all the time. Then isn't it though? We were sat here giving excuses for every single one of our other players. Yeah. But we can't make an excuse for Konate because we know he's got deficiencies on the ball. We know that. It's nothing new. We've known this for years. So if we haven't set an environment for him, for one of our best centre backs who's proven at the club, who's been at the club for 3 or 4 years, yet we're saying give Wirtz his everything. We'll base it around him and give the license to him to do stuff. And other players, it's fair we give somebody like a Konate, a right back, who's going to help him out. We've seen it with Joe Gomez. He's come in, he's made things easier for him, and he's become he hasn't made a mistake over the last few games. He looks decent again. So I think it's a bit. Look, I'm the one that's literally gone to town on him. But we have to sometimes be honest with ourselves and say it's easy to just blame a player when there's others, where we're saying, give them the environment, give this guy the environment as well then. And you already have a really, really good centre-back. I think one of the biggest issues, we don't even know he's going to fucking be here in 6 months. So that's the biggest issue.
That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Right,
big show, boys.
Yeah. We said, before we came on, Beraldo is another one at PSG. When I checked him out about 6 months ago, he came out with really good passing stats.
He's got
but
passing.
I'm not. Who does he play for? Country?
Italy, innit?
Is it
Brazilian? Oh no.
I think so. No,
Italian. Oh right. Okay.
Beraldo. Is he
Beraldo.
Argentinian?
No.
I don't know.
Beraldo.
Brazil.
Someone the
Brazil.
chat. I thought he was Brazilian.
Yeah, Brazil. The chat is
He's
you know what?
22.
You know what? Guess who actually told me about him? It's funny enough. The guy's propped up here. Mizgan told me about him last
He's
season.
22. Fucking
sent
go
me-
on, buy him, man.
He sent me some. Stats on him as well.
Bro, he's worth going and buying. He's 22 years old. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he told me check him out. That's when I remember in terms of his what stuck out is his passing. Okay, people, before we came on, we said quick 40 minutes. We didn't beat last night's record, but it was close enough. Hour and a half of talking. And you know what? These shows will continue. We promise you when we go into January or just before, we will give you Malik Thiaw's the one. I think he's a proper player. He can do a bit of everything and he's got pace as well. But yeah, we will bring back the daily shows, the 1 o'clock live transfer fees, and talk about every single rumor going. But yeah, really enjoyed tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. I think Avi's back tomorrow. And then we'll do a few of the shows leading up to the weekend as well for the big one, which is the 5:30. And we'll look to preview that game as well. Yeah, Conroy's in the chat as well. Always supporting. We're gonna get Conroy on a screen one day, I promise you as well. But he's too busy traveling the world. God knows where he is at the moment. Conroy, if you see any decent centre backs in Brazil or Peru or anywhere you're catching a flight to, let us know, mate. And if they got a release clause, even better. But big up to you and big up to everyone else in the chat. Billy, always supporting. And yeah, it's a quick 40 minutes, but it never works out that way. But yeah, we were slot out 2 weeks ago. Now we're winning the league. Good night. And we'll see you soon. Bye now.